What is going on, everyone? Thanks for entering the Lobby of Hobbies. I'm Jazz, and on today's episode, we're going to be doing a little Kickstarter preview of the upcoming game Backyard Chickens from co-designers, which are a father and son duo, Don and Adrian Gilstrap. The artwork on this one is done by Mac Hiller. Now, in Backyard Chickens, you are competing with your fellow neighbors at the table, trying to raise the best chicken coop, ultimately to score the most points to be named the best flock on the block. Now, this one is a pure deck builder, so if you're a fan of deck builders and a fan of chickens, you might want to stay tuned for this one. So let's get into it. All right, so like I said, Backyard Chickens is a pure deck builder with a neat little twist in it. So let's see how this one plays, see what the setup looks like, and then find out whether or not this game might be worthy of you to hit that back button this week on Kickstarter. So with Backyard Chickens, players, like any other deck builder, will start off with a basic starting hand of cards that's going to be the same exact starting hand that everybody else will play with. And they will each receive 2 starting chickens in their flock. Chickens will have varying point values, and you will be able to purchase new chickens to add to your flock, and also more cards to add to your deck to make it more powerful and potentially gain you more access to be able to purchase some of these more expensive chickens to add to your flock. The game does come with an event deck that you can choose to play with or not play with, depending if you want to play on a more advanced level or a beginner level, and the game does recommend, if you're playing with family, younger kids, or for your first time, to leave the event deck out. You'll have some egg tokens, which are the currency in the game. You'll have these -2 water tokens, and we'll get to that shortly. A starting player marker that will be passed around from round to round. So in Backyard Chickens, players pretty much are going to be starting off with a hand of 6 cards. But the game is broken down into 4 different phases. You have the collect eggs phase, you have the feed and water chickens phase, you have a go to market phase, and last phase is called cleaning the coop. So I'm going to briefly talk about what each of those phases do so that you can get an understanding of how they work. So in the beginning, the collect eggs phase, you will draw an event card if you're playing with the event deck, and then do what that says. Some event cards will only take place during certain phases throughout the game, like this one says, during the go to the market phase, and then every player will do that action on the card when it happens. But in the first round of the game, you're actually going to skip over the events phase because that doesn't happen until the second round of the game. The next step is collecting your eggs. Players will look at their eggs, and each chicken does produce eggs based on their content level, which we'll get to in a short bit. So at the beginning of the game, every player from their chickens will start off with 4 eggs that they will receive, bringing them up to a total of 6 eggs to start with in the first round. And then they will mature any chickens, and we'll see how that happens later as you acquire more chickens into your flock. Then players will move over into the second phase, which is feeding and watering their chickens. Players in this phase will draw a hand of 6 cards, and then they will play their 6 cards to feed and water their chickens. In their starting hand, players will receive some food cards indicated by these yellow icons, and then some water cards indicated by these blue icons. So players will look on their chickens, and each chicken has a set number of food that they need to be fed and water that they need to be fed, along with some icons towards the bottom for their favorite treat. Now, if you're able to feed and water your chicken will stay at a content level. If you're unable to feed your chicken will become sad, and your card will actually rotate to its sad state. Anytime a card goes to its sad state, you're going to have less points that it's going to give you, but also less eggs that it's going to produce for you in subsequent rounds. But like I said, if you are able to feed your chicken, it will stay in the content phase. The only way you can rotate your chicken to its happy state is if you can feed it its food and also give it its favorite treat. But if you're unable to give it water, that chicken will receive a thirst token, which means that every round after that, it will produce for you 2 less eggs. Now, there's only a max of 1 token that can go on this, and you can never go below 0 eggs, so you can never get negative eggs in subsequent rounds. So players will be doing this feed and water phase simultaneously. They will feed their chickens, water their chickens. If they have any leftover food, it just gets unused. Any extra water they can have, they can place into this water storage that will allow them to use it in subsequent rounds, which is another form of way to thin out your deck, like most people who do play deck builders might be familiar with in that deck culling aspect. There are going to be some cards that will help you thin out and cull your deck as well and get some cards out of the game. But after the feed and water phase, players will make sure they've been able to feed their chickens, water their chickens, put any thirst tokens on them, change any of the moods of their chickens before they go into the third phase, which is the go to market phase. In this phase, players will start off with the first player and then going in clockwise order to purchase items from the market. Anytime they purchase an item, it goes directly into their discard pile and gets refilled right away. Anytime they purchase a chicken, it will get refilled as well, and the chicken will actually go into their flock face down. And that's how it will go. You do your go-to-market phase. You'll also not only be able to purchase chickens, purchase supply cards, you'll also be able to pay a set number of eggs to clear the chicken market and also clear the supply market to see fresh cards that you're able to purchase. You're able to purchase as much items that you want, but only able to purchase one chicken each round. After all players have made their buys and gone to the go market phase, comes the clean up the coop phase. Now in clean up the coop, players will check to see their scoring. Scoring is going to be done indicated by these blue ribbons on their chickens. And players will move this track up and down with their chicken token, depending on where their current chicken point status is now. Again, you will not be counting your face down chicken. And then also, which I didn't explain, during the market phase, one last step you're also able to do is spend 12 coins to be able to move this blue ribbon marker up 1 point, giving you other ways to score points, not only from your chickens, but also from that blue ribbon. So after you've checked your score, you're going to discard any cards that you've played, any extra cards that you were unable to play, and then pass the first player marker and start on the next round. In this round, again, players are going to draw that event deck. They're going to collect any eggs, and then they will mature any chickens by flipping them over. So that's pretty much how the game plays. Once one player gets to 10 points, again, the points coming from the sum of any points that they've paid for this blue ribbon and the points that their chickens get them. And that's how a game of Backyard Chickens is played. So I'm going to give you a brief bit of thoughts on, what you may like or may not like with respect to this game and who it might be for. So one thing that I have to say is this, again, is a pure deck builder. So if you are not a fan of deck builders, I'm not sure that this is going to be anything revolutionary that's going to really draw you into the genre, except if you might be a fan of chickens. But one thing that I did find unique in this game, which was in a mechanic that I think honestly is the one mechanic that really draws you in and really makes this game shine. And that is going to be this mood changing mechanic, where as you are feeding your chickens, you're going to be changing the mood, whether it to be to happy or even to sad, or potentially if a chicken is sad and you're unable to feed it, it will run away, giving you negative points, and you won't be able to gain that chicken back. So like other deck builders, you're going to be acquiring some cards, again, that will allow you to change the mood of multiple chickens, acquire more eggs, and really build that powerful deck that will be able to, hopefully get you that best flock on the block. So if you have any questions about this one, leave the comments down below. I'm also going to be putting the link to this Kickstarter down in the description. That way, if this one is one you want to check out, you guys can check the campaign out. So again, I want to thank you guys for stopping by, for checking this one out with me, and I'll see you on the next one.